So how do we solve this then?
There is no solving.
There is no solution.
No, there's no solution. You can't solve it. There's no solution because we're always...
Well, how did you find your way out of this?
Oh.
So there is a solution. Because I was the one that you blamed for everything.
I just told you right now.
Which is?
I'm crazy. I have multiple personalities.
So you learn to just embrace that.
Right.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Do the Work podcast. We are recording live, and I'm here with Carla Araujo. That's right. And today's topic is flipping issues. Flipping issues. So I think in every relationship, right, there's always going to be two perspectives. There's always going to be two stories, and then the truth.
And no one will ever know the truth.
No one will ever know the exact truth.
Because
right?
Your truth is your truth and my truth is my truth.
And if it's my truth, that is my reality.
And I can't tell you otherwise. I can't tell you no.
You can try to argue.
Yeah, but
you can try to tell me otherwise. But I'm going to believe what I believe.
Right. And I can't take that from you. I can't try to convince you that.
Well, you try to oftentimes, and I try to do the same to you.
Right.
Yes, I'll admit that. Because I think my ability to be more rational is at a higher level than what you are. And that's just being the honest truth here. Okay, I think I am more rational under certain situations. Yes.
Really? You know what? I'm not even going to argue with you just because I don't even know where I'd stand right now.
What do you mean?
I don't know where I'm at right now with this argument.
Yeah, I cut you off guard on that one.
You did, because I don't want to start something I can't finish, and then I'm just going to get crazy.
And we do get crazy after these podcasts.
I know, and that's the whole thing. Right now, what you're just discussing, I can go really deep and be like, end up at the end of the day, be like, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm the crazy one because we just flipped it.
Yeah, I do flip a lot.
You do. That's what you do. You flip. You make it seem I'm the one with the issues because you flip it around.
Well, but it's based on my realities, right? This is the way I see things.
Correct. So I have two choices. I can,
believe that and believe that you're crazy.
Right.
Or you can stand strong on what you believe.
Right. And the disagreement can go on, and it can come out to either of us not talking, arguing, not getting along.
And it can come out that you just get really loud and start acting all crazy.
Right. Because that's what I do. I mean, I have a vein on my neck and
on
one
on
your forehead. And
so
my voice goes from like a 10 to a 20.
So I guess if that's your reality, right? You're in control or whatever. So what do you think a third party would see if they were to see both of us communicating?
I think if they saw both, I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, we've been in those situations before.
We do that in front of our camera guys all the time.
We do. And we do that all the time.
Brandon, you've been involved a few times.
So, but they don't really take sides because, I mean, the third, because this is the thing.
They have taken sides.
Hold on a second.
You know what they told me?
What?
Who signs my paycheck?
And that's
you.
I mean, I'm not crazy.
So you have taken sides. You too.
You're the crazy, not me. But look at this. It could be like who I am in that argument. It may not be who I am, an hour after or before. Well, so the person's going to judge that situation, I guess.
I think there's a diagnosis for that. Multiple personalities.
I don't have multiple personalities. Although I got to say this real quick. I remember a while back ago, you had mentioned that to me. and no lie, you had mentioned that to me when we were in a heated argument. And you said, you know what, Carla, I think you have something going on. I think you have multiple personalities. So I'm over there, of course, because, Google tells it all and it's the truth, right?
Google WebMD. I mean, you don't need a doctor anymore.
You don't. You have WebMD. You don't. Oh. So I'm like Googling that. I'm like looking at maybe this is a possibility that I have multiple personalities. I could be.
And based on what it's, some of the characteristics of people with multiple personalities, I would say you hit 9 out of 10. So
then I end up calling the wrong people. I called my mom and she was like, well, since you were a kid. I'm like, dang. And then I called my brother and he's like, well, since you were a kid. I was like, dang. And then I go to they're professionals because they know me, right? They know that same person as a child, the same person today in their eyes, right?
I would take their opinion into consideration.
So then I would call you. I called you that day and I'm like, hey, I think I got something going on in my brain. And then you're like, well, I told you to check that out. So you still went with it and you believed. And I
truly believe, based on my reality and based my engagements with you.
Right, but hold on.
So I sat 10 different yous.
I sat there for quite some time in that thought, right? Maybe I'm going crazy. So I sat there for quite some time and I really started thinking to myself, why do I have multiple personalities? And it's not that. I think we all have multiple personalities.
I'll agree with you there. Yeah. I'll agree with you because when I get triggered, it is a different me than when I am right now.
Right.
So that is a different personality.
Why a third person coming in to really evaluating the argument, it doesn't really make sense because they're only going to see that one person. They don't really see the whole story. So I don't know. I don't know how that third person, at the end of the day, I really don't care. And I'm not crazy. You can say I'm crazy, but I know that I'm not crazy. I think that we all as women,
we handle issues differently.
We all as women have a lot of pressure from family to kids to work and to all kinds of things.
That's fair.
So you guys drive us crazy. I can say that because you do.
I don't know if it's necessarily me.
I can blame it on you. I'm gonna blame it on you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
play that part.
And I think a lot of men get the short end of the stick on that. I think a lot of men are the ones to blame when the woman chooses to essentially disempower themselves, right? By not going after what they wanted originally before the marriage.
Right.
Going after their careers, going after their personal ambitions and goals.
Right.
So they only have one person to blame, which is the men.
Okay.
And they do a really good job of that.
Okay.
So as men, we're like, what are you talking about? I thought this is what you wanted. Right. I thought that you wanted to stay home with the kids. I thought you wanted a family.
Right.
So that's why we assume automatically that
that's what
you're crazy.
Want. Yeah, because, you know.
Yeah, now you're telling me completely on the contrary.
Yeah, that I don't want that. And then I go crazy. I go nuts.
Yes.
Because, well, you drive us nuts.
Okay. So how do we solve this then?
There is no solving.
There is no solution?
No, there's no solution. You can't solve it. There's no solution because we're always...
Well, how did you find your way out of this? Oh. So there is a solution. Because I was the one that you blamed for everything.
I just told you right now.
Which is?
I'm crazy. I have multiple personalities.
So you learn to just embrace that.
Right. I'm not going to change because you think I'm wrong. So I'm going to give a prime example.
Mic drop.
I'm going to give a prime example right now. I own who I am. And I'm confident in who I am. All of me.
All of you.
Yeah, you can't say...
all the different yous.
The Carla who was an hour ago to 30 minutes ago is not the same Carla. The Carla right now is not the same Carla because I'm just a little more... You know, it's a little different.
Depending on the situation.
Right.
You're like a chameleon. You adapt.
That's right. So I think we all have that. We all have that in us. Some won't admit it.
Some are able to do that in a drop of a dime every single minute.
Right. And some will say, that's just who I am. That's one person. I'm like, you have multiple. Do you realize, because last week you weren't this way. And a day ago or an hour ago in a certain situation, you didn't act this way. Right. So anyway, all right. So I own it, right? So I'm not
give me this example
crazy. I'm just, okay.
You're not crazy.
No. So,
but don't you have a nickname?
Don't even.
What's your nickname?
Don't.
What do people tell you?
Don't say
Crazy Carla.
Oh, man.
Damn.
Why you gotta call me?
And this is something that was before I met you.
No, you know what's crazy?
Crazy Carla.
I have even kids calling me Crazy Carla.
I know.
Even little kids call me Crazy Carla. They think I'm hilarious. Crazy Carla because I'm crazy.
There you go. But you own it.
I'm not crazy. Come on. I'm not crazy.
So which is it? You were owning it right now. Now you're not.
No. See what you're doing? You're flipping it on me.
Oh, I'm flipping it.
You're flipping on me.
Now I'm making you question yourself.
Now you're like, am I crazy? Like, I thought I went through this.
And I think that's what women, right? Like people in relationship, not just women, but...
Oh, man, we just gave such a perfect example. I'm not crazy, AZ. Crazy Carla doesn't mean I'm crazy. That's just my name. That's just, I just love being that. I'm just a hyper person. I'm a hyper person. So we went over... Okay, so over the weekend, we went to L.A. And we went to go...
We met with a couple people we needed to meet with.
Right. And one particular individual, I set it all up because I wanted to see him. And I was just like, okay, so we had a conversation, right? And fast forward, we end up meeting and we go to the meeting and we sit down and... It
was a great conversation.
It was.
3 hours.
3 hours of it. And I got a lot of insight and a lot of discussion in it. And I'm talking. And in me, I'm listening. But I'm talking.
You came into this for gratitude. You wanted to meet with this individual for gratitude of the impact he's made in your life.
Right. And I wanted to tell him thank you and just spend a little bit more time. Because I've always seen him over the years just kind of a pass by, a hug and saying thank you, but never really sitting down and saying, hey. Giving him, the really nice thank you of just on a deeper level.
To give you a little bit of that background. So the person we're talking about, his name is Jeremy Finlay. He was part of Wake Up Warrior and still remains part of Wake Up Warrior. And he was the person that interviewed Carla many, many years ago. And Carla was able to open up to this individual, right, on camera.
Right.
And just put it out there for the first time where she was able to kind of take those thoughts and those secrets and that shame and those experiences, the traumas, and put it out, not only out to somebody else, but out on video.
Well, the way it all happened is when he went to, and I think we said this before, so let me go through all this real quick. He came to videotape originally your
Yes.
life, and
Yes.
he ended up just with me.
Well, he spent about 20 minutes with me, and for the next 5 hours.
5 or 6 hours with me.
Yeah.
But the way it happened is he actually put the camera in front of me, and he just asked the right questions.
He asked the right questions and had the right energy.
Right, and that's what it was, exactly. So he only asked 2 or 3 questions, but the energy he gave me, I took it from there. So the more I gave him, the more questions he asked about me. But what got me right here was I had an open window. I had an open window to understand that this is one opportunity I have to give him my all. In which I mean give him my all, literally bring all the stories to the surface. Give him,
yes.
And literally give him all the detailed stories. So there was things I told him I never even told you.
There was things that I didn't realize until I watched it later.
He immediately put the camera down and he said, and so he even got a little emotional, right? And he's like, you do know that this is going out to hundreds, if not thousands, Carla. And then and I look at him straight in the eye. I said, "It's okay." And so, because something in me said, it's okay.
It's time.
It's time. So he puts it back up and he's like, okay, let's go for it. So he's continued videotaping. I mean, just recording everything I have to say, asking better questions, because the deeper I get, the questions become even better.
Right.
So he starts going more and more. And so I basically gave him my whole life. So we were those 5-6 hours, my whole life. So it didn't dawn on me until he leaves and so on and so forth. And weeks later, he says, I want you to see something because I need your approval to see if this is how far you want to go. He had my whole life. I don't know what he did with that. I don't know where it's at. At the end of the day, I always think of him because it's like, if I can't do this, or if I'm shameful of this moment or regretful, I always go back to the moment I put my life on video. I'm like, what's the worst thing that can happen that hasn't already happened?
Right.
I can't take back anything I've already said. It's out there already. So if I'm afraid to go into this, this We3 that I have going on, this women event going on.
Women's Evolution 3.
Right. If I have this fear going on, what's the worst that can happen? I've already been there. I can't go back and try to recover all the stories of my life that thousands of millions out there. I don't know where it's at, AZ. So it's out there. So it's like, this is like the biggest grand opening of freedom. Like, wow.
Putting your story out there.
Right.
Bring it to the surface.
So now my story got more and just better because I was able to now dissect all the details behind it. It's out there. There's something to hide.
You understand everything about yourself.
Right. It felt,
so this was truly a defining moment for
right.
you. He was one of those individuals that helped impact the growth of Carla, that helped impact the growth of who you are as a mother, as a wife, as a business owner,
right.
and now a coach and trainer with
right.
Women's Evolution.
But the thing is, Jeremy didn't do anything other than just put a camera to my face. I had to do the work. I had to put myself out there. There was nothing he was possibly going to do or say for me if I didn't go all in and be willing to give what I needed to give at that moment. So I had to do it on my own. I had to take the courage.
Because you could have easily retracted.
Right.
And we've had those individuals too that we've done interviews. And I remember one person in particular that put her story out there. And as opposed to continue to feel the pain of what it feels like to put a story to the surface,
right?
Because there are pains, there are memories, there is, a roller coaster of emotions that comes along with it.
Right.
There's a choice at that point.
Right.
Do I retract or do I continue to go all in?
Right.
And we ran into an individual that decided to retract, and now I have not even heard of her, and that's unfortunate. You decided to do the latter, which is keep going.
And I did. And so when I did that and I felt that uncomfort, it was kind of nice because the doors of opportunities were opening up. So I had a choice to, like you said, retract and come back and be like, shame that I gave my whole life a story, right? But what I did is I kept moving forward. So every opportunity that was opening up, I took it.
Yeah.
I didn't doubt it. I didn't second guess it. And if the opportunity wasn't there, I went to get it.
Yes.
Because I thought to myself, what's the worst that can happen?
That hasn't happened already.
That hasn't happened already. So I started grabbing onto every opportunity. If anything, I started looking for opportunities to getting in and deeper and deeper and deeper. But it all started with me. So I never got to truly tell him thank you.
So that was the point of the entire meeting, was to go out there and give that gratitude.
How many years ago?
This was 2014, so 5 years ago.
5 years ago is when all this happened. So the only time I've ever come across Jeremy is one through like messaging, just, hi, how are you kind of deal, right? If I've gone to the Warrior events with you, it was just like, hi, how are you? But I've never truly sat one-on-one with him to say, hey, I don't know if you know this.
But the impact was immense.
Yes. And it started with your camera, with you behind the lens, asking me the right questions. And not even that, it was the energy. Because I recall it was like 1 or 2, and I took it from there. Because I had to. He couldn't do it for me.
And here's the thing. Like, it was a very emotional meeting just this past weekend. There was a lot of great energy. And I was kind of on the sideline. I mean, I kind of stepped back, and I just saw you guys engaging because I knew you were there on a mission, right? Because you're about to embark on probably the most comprehensive women's event ever, right? And this is your third one. And each one, it's leaps and bounds above the next because there's a lot of dissecting. There's a lot of growth that happens when you're pushing so hard. They're never the same because you're pushing so hard.
Right.
That you wanted to take the time to just see him in person. And that's exactly what we did. We flew out there for this one mission, gratitude.
Right.
Okay. So now back to the story of how you're crazy. Okay.
So I get there. Oh, you want to finish it?
No.
Okay.
So let me just finish this thought.
Okay.
It was awesome to see. And it was very, I got involved in the energy as well. And I caught myself like wiping some tears away every few minutes because it was that intense. There was like no one else in the restaurant. It was just you two. And I felt like I was a fly on the wall that just happened to hear the whole thing. So thank you for that. But now let's get back to.
And you said it exactly that. I went out there for my purpose, my reason, and the gratitude. So I went out there for myself. You were just there to keep me company is the way I saw it.
Okay.
And you made an additional, you went out there for your reasons, whatever, right? But to me, it was like I invited you. You went there. I set it all up. I even mentioned it to you. I want to go out there for this and this reason. You're like, let's do this. So, okay. So all said and done, after 3 hours, we said goodbye and we took some photos or whatever and left some good memories and whatever. So we said goodbye. We knew, So anyway, we get in the car.
Within 5 minutes.
Within 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes. Actually, yes, within 5 minutes.
Brandon, how long was that? Honestly, 5?
5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes.
We get in the car, 5 minutes. Okay, pack up the luggage and everything. Get in the car, put on my seatbelt, and you looked over at me. You said, "You talk too much." And I was like, what?
Because I don't think it came out that way.
But
There's no way it could have came out that way.
Okay, let me go back. Okay, let me rewind. We get in the car. I put on my seatbelt. You said, how did you think it went? I said, I think it went great. There's something in me that I needed to do what I did, and I think it was awesome. I'm so like just
worth the investment. It was.
Yeah, I said, I'm glad it just went out this way. Literally, just 24 hours. I just came out here just to give my gratitude to him. That's the only reason why I flew out there, right? Mm-hmm. And then, so I'm telling you all these things because you asked me. You said, how did you think it went? So I said, I came for the mission and mission accomplished 100%. And you said, you talk too much. And I'm thinking at that moment, I talk too much. I'm like, what do you mean I talk too much? You're like, you didn't let him talk. I'm like, what are you talking about and let him talk? And so you started just questioning. And in my mind, I'm like, maybe you're right. Maybe I didn't let him talk enough. Maybe I didn't give him a chance to say the things he needed to say. It was all about me. So I started going crazy. I started feeling the guilt. I started feeling the embarrassment. And then so all the moments in my head were like, man, did I talk too much? Maybe he wanted to say something. Maybe I felt selfish not allowing him to tell me what he felt. So you started questioning me even deeper because you're like, this is what you need to do. You need to understand that other people need to talk. And I'm like, what? Man, am I doing this in all areas of my life? So I'm like, dang. So I started for a quick moment, but then I was like, wait a minute. It took me only by the time we got to the freeway, Brandon, by the time we got to the freeway, I got a little crazy. I got the vein popping out of my neck, the vein popping out of my forehead. I said, you know what? First and foremost, and I said that to Brandon, right? If you wanted to make this happen, you should have done this your damn self. But I made this happen. You were just my guest.
Right.
How it went down is the way I wanted it to go down. And then you were like, oh, okay.
No, it wasn't. Oh, okay.
No, that's what I'm saying.
No, I didn't fully agree because here's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. You said, okay. And then you started arguing with me. So it became an argument.
My whole point was, a conversation, because I've been in that. And we even went further along. Like I said like in the bathroom sometimes. Like I'm trying to like get ready in the morning. I have a 9 o'clock mindset.
So why
Monday.
you got to bring up? We're talking about this moment.
I know because we brought that up during the argument.
But that has nothing to do. And exactly why do you do that? Why did you bring up the moments that had nothing to do with the moment? And you do that all the time
for support.
But support what? To drive me crazy. And that's why, right, like even
to make you question yourself.
Exactly. So you flip this on me. So you
flipping issues.
Yeah, flipping issues. You flip your issue. That's your personal issue.
Well, here's the way I saw it.
First and foremost, if I talk too much while you're getting ready in the morning, why don't you just say, hey, I need to get ready? I would back off. But instead, you're just kind of like, oh, is she going to go away? Giving me like this energy.
Well, here's my experience.
I'm going to take advantage of your time.
Here's my experience.
Keep talking.
Here's my experience with that. If I tell you, hey, I need to get ready, it goes from talking 100 miles an hour to like ignoring me the entire day.
No, it's this. You feel the guilt that you told me that. So it's not that I'm ignoring you. I actually say, you know what, let me give you your space because I know I'm talking a lot. So let me back up a little bit.
Yeah, but your space means I'm not talking to you for the rest of the day.
No, that's what you think because
really?
You want me to talk
according to like
you want me to talk
Father
to
Time.
Why
That's
am I looking
exactly
at my time? You want me to talk to you when you want me to talk to you.
Because we're in sync. You see that?
I know. We're connected. I know. We're still connected.
If I do that, like if I yawn, you're going to start yawning.
I know. Brendan told me this whole story on this whole yawning
like if I lean in, you'll start leaning in because we're into each other.
Yeah.
Even though we're not necessarily in agreement.
We were talking about that over the weekend, Brendan and I, about the whole body, language.
Yeah. And then you're trying to read me too.
I know.
Well, anyway.
But I'm telling you, you flipped that on me because me ignoring you the whole day has nothing to do with me being upset.
Okay,
I'm giving you space, but you can't accept that because you're saying like, if you tell me this, how do you want me to react then? When do you want me to talk to you? You let me know. It's insane. Okay. It's like, I'm just clearing room and space. Quit being so sensitive. And so that's what you are. You're sensitive. You're like, man, you're ignoring me. I'm like, I'm confused. You want me to talk to you, not talk to you, give you a little bit of space? You give me a time when you want me to come back because I don't want you to think I'm upset. You're a little sensitive.
I was invited. Sensitive. It doesn't mean I'm just going to be the third wheel the entire time. Obviously, I'm going to engage. I haven't seen him in a long time.
I get it.
So my whole thing was I asked him a particular question.
And
what ended up happening is you brought it back to you.
Well, then you should go out there and fly thousands of miles and set that up so you can go ask that question again.
I came as a guest. What I'm saying is there's a time and place. That wasn't your time or your place.
Oh, that wasn't your time or place. I bought the tickets.
Listen,
I flew you with
I stayed
me.
back. I gave you all the space in the world. When you guys were done the conversation, okay, the conversation went a different route. Now it's me and him. I asked a particular questions. And then he would start, and then all of a sudden it came back to you. I'm like,
doesn't
you
matter.
don't let him talk.
It was in your meeting. It was in your point. It was in your purpose. It was in your mission. It was mine.
It's something that I expressed.
I didn't want your questions to interrupt the momentum. I didn't want the energy.
Fair enough.
Wasn't going to do that.
I get it.
It was my moment. You want to share Jeremy, you can share him, but you get your own tickets. Right now, Jeremy at that time was just me and Jeremy, and that's it.
Okay.
And
good.
I don't even know. You know what? As a matter of fact, I don't think we should even bring Jeremy up anymore because he's starting to chaos craziness in our relationship.
Yeah. It's his fault.
It's Jeremy's fault.
All right.
And I think he needs to hear this.
It's all your fault.
It's all your fault, Jeremy. But going back to the issue thing. I seriously, for a quick moment, and Brendan was there, in all seriousness, it was an argument.
It was an argument.
It was a
full-on argument.
Full-on argument based on...
Did you record it, by the way? No, you didn't record it. Okay.
Based on... Why'd you even go, Brendan?
If you're going to record it, why'd
you go, Brendan?
I got a headache.
I
can't be in the back seat.
That's all we were hearing from Brendan.
Can I have some Dramamine?
Yeah.
Can you buy me some Dramamine?
I don't think it helped with us arguing on the front either. So going back.
And I drive like a maniac.
Oh my gosh, that was crazy, especially in LA.
Hey, you got to drive like an LA person.
Poor Brendan was like vomiting
Dude,
in the back seat.
I totally feel like I should have been born in California. I don't know what I did in my past lifetime.
As me and Brendan
but now
I'm
in hell, like here in Arizona.
I know. No.
It's hot as hell here.
I have to have the heat.
I'm California, 100.
I'm heat. I love Arizona. So going back to the flipping issue thing, in all honesty, if I would have never stuck up for myself and I seriously looked over at you and said, hey, if you want your questions answered, if you want that one-on-one, you fly back out. But this weekend was my mission accomplished. Your questions would have interrupted my moment, my energy with him. I didn't want to hear it, and that's plain and simple. So how I maneuvered and worked my way through on my actions, who I was at that moment is who I was.
And you owned it.
And I owned it. And I cannot let you come in and say you talk too much. Because if I talk too much, that's not my problem. That's your problem. Yes. And you need to deal with that.
Well, when I say something, you believe it, it erodes your confidence. You're not really.
It did.
But here's the thing. This is where you're radically different from who you used to be, because sometimes I would tell you certain things and you would try to conform to how I saw it.
Right.
Now you're like, no, wait a minute. My perspective is different. It will always be different.
Right.
I came in here for this mission.
Right.
That mission was accomplished. If you don't like the way, and I love that about you. We can argue all day long, but you have a very valid point. It's not on me to tell you, hey, you talk too much. I know how you are.
Right.
Right. I decided to still come. I can't still argue and say, hey, you talk too much type of thing. So that's what I really appreciate about you now. And that's where I saw where Carla got her backbone, where she gained her confidence, where she changed as a woman, as a wife, as a business person, is when she does certain things, she owns it, because that's part of who you are.
Right.
And even though it doesn't mean that I necessarily say, oh, well, that's the way she is, I'm going to accept it. I'm still going to give my perspective
and I need
and my
you
2
to.
cents.
I need you to show up as well, because if you were just completely silent, it just wouldn't work. I need a man to handle me.
I'm a hell of a man.
I know, and I need that.
Who handles you?
You handle me. That's what I'm talking about.
Give me those eyes. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm in love.
Yeah.
That's why I'm looking at you, man.
Hearts coming out of your heart. You know I handle it.
I didn't claim I wasn't in love. I'm 100% in love with the man I married.
That's right.
And if you would have told me otherwise and just kind of felt like I was belittling you or back down.
No, you didn't belittle.
No. Which I'm just saying that would be something most males feel.
And we've had those conversations before too, where I felt like, hey, in order for you to, and this happens, and I think we're going to switch gears just momentarily here.
Go for it.
Because I think it happens a lot in relationships. We poke fun at the other person to get in good with a third party, with somebody else outside of that circle, right?
Right.
So I would catch myself kind of poking fun at you with your mom or with one of your friends, so I can build that rapport with them at the expense of my own wife.
Right. And I felt doing that too. I've done that several times.
Several times. And I would tell you, hey, listen, like, I don't appreciate that. And you told me that as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should ever cross that line. I don't care who you're trying to make friends with, who you're trying to build a bond with.
Right.
You don't team up against your spouse, your best friend.
Right.
That's not right. It could be jokingly, but those jokes will eventually lead to like greater or bigger jokes that at one point will not be okay.
I agree 100%. Yeah.
So anyway, take that as advice.
Yeah.
Don't gang up on your own spouse.
I agree.
Anyway.
I agree.
But no, I appreciate the growth. It challenges me. And I know that when I say something, I'm like, fuck, I know Carla's going to have her 2 cents. And that's okay. I'm willing to take that. But at the end of the day, we're like in tune. We're in sync.
Yeah.
We're on the same wavelength. We got the same goals and ambitions, right, for the business. And at the same time, we have our own personal goals and ambitions as a personal.
That's personal. And I love that. That's perfectly said.
All right.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
And it was.
And you do talk to a lot sometimes. You don't let other people.
You
don't let people like.
That's something I'm working on.
But either way,
I'm working on it.
Either way, you got what you wanted.
I always get what I want in a conversation.
Yeah.
And mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
I'm working on that. I have so much passion.
So now I made you question yourself. See that?
I
controlled you like a little puppet right there.
No. So you didn't. So in the car, when you even told me that, I was like, yeah, it's one of my. We all have a downfall.
We all have a downfall.
We all do.
I overreact sometimes.
We all do.
Especially when it comes to my coffee.
You get distracted.
Oh,
AZ gets distracted when we're in a conversation and someone's talking to him and all like.
I will. It's not just against you. It's everyone.
It's everyone. He's just like he gets distracted. I'm like, and they're not, and it's not, it can be in the most interesting conversation in the world.
I space out.
He just spaces out, and he'll do something.
No,
he'll
I don't
mess
space.
With this.
There's always. It's not space.
You'll miss your ring. You'll mess with your watch. You'll do something, but the conversation is so interesting and intriguing that you'll still space out. It doesn't. So it's not against me.
I don't think it's spacing out. I'm in some deep thoughts. I'm thinking about the next moves.
I don't know what it is, but it's not against me, and I've learned that. But over the years, I'm like, you're listening to me. I don't even ask you that anymore because I know I'm like, hey, I'm talking. You're like, oh, okay.
And sometimes you have patience, and you'll be like, oh, okay, you bring me back.
I do, yeah.
Because you know, and sometimes you're like, make a big deal out of it. And next thing you know, we're not talking for the entire day.
Right. So,
but you know how I am. But yet, sometimes you're trying to teach you a lesson.
I try to. I don't never try to teach you a lesson. I just get a little crazy.
It seems like all of a sudden we're not talking.
No, because again,
I think that's where the most of our arguments come from.
Why do you see what you're doing that again right now?
Okay.
You're flipping this like I'm crazy.
Damn.
You're flipping it again.
You're right.
That's not even what I'm saying.
Well, I got a little resentment.
No,
on me.
this is the way when you go a long time spacing out is what you call it.
I want to reword that.
Zoning out.
No.
Whatever it is
deep thought meditation.
Deep thought meditation. Whatever it is you do, and then you're like, oh, I'm sorry. You're like, this is what it is. Now, what were you saying? I'm like, I ain't going to repeat my 30-minute conversation I had with you because you were somewhere else. Like, no. So I walk away. And if I have the energy, I'll repeat my story. But if I don't, but then you get all right there. That's what I'm saying. You get all sensitive.
I do.
You get all sensitive because you want me to come back. And I'm like, no, you've already lost. Now I'm zoning out. So see how sensitive you get?
Yeah, because you hold the grudge.
That's a flip. You just flipped it on me. That's a flip. So then you flip it on me. So then I'm like, first of all, I'm not the one that I zoned out. You did. And then you're like, why are you ignoring me? And then you flip it. You flip it. And see what you just did right now?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I'm pretty good at that.
So all of a sudden it becomes my issue.
I think that's a form of manipulation there,
becomes
actually.
my issue.
I think that is. I'm like a master manipulator or something.
But you were like, we do this all day long.
Okay.
Relationships do this all day long. They flip issues on it. And they have no idea. So next thing you know, you're way over there. You're like, how in the heck do we get over here when it started with you? But that person doesn't want to admit it started with them. And so flipping issues, that's huge. That's huge.
Here, so at the end of the day, there's one solution to this. Ownership. You take ownership of the decisions you made, the actions you took, and that alleviates any blame. That alleviates any, feeling like, you're walking on ice, thin ice, and it's just ownership. And that's exactly what you've done.
Sometimes I talk too much, and sometimes you zone out.
Okay.
And we get
it's a perfect match.
It's a perfect match, yeah.
Me and you get along now, see?
And it may not be perfect, and sometimes we'll lose patience for each other, but that's what makes it so perfect.
Right now, we're pretty good. It was a good trip.
Yeah.
We had a little hiccup there. But it was like by the time we got on but then again, it was LA traffic. So getting on the freeway was like 40 minutes.
Our social experiment was pretty cool. You almost had, got in a fight with a couple of dudes.
Dude, what the hell's wrong with you?
Women almost slapped across the face by
she's she's staring at people and smiling. I'm like, dude.
Social experiment was awesome.
I don't want to
if you watch my social experience.
Social experiment?
Keep on the next one because I'm on to the next mission.
Okay.
This one's going to be a good one.
That girl kind of...
The social
I was staring a little too much.
I know. You were so uncomfortable. You're like, she's staring at me again.
I don't know if she was scared or turned on. I don't know.
What about the guy? The guy comes back and stands right behind your back. And I'm like,
I know.
I'm like, what's up? And you're like,
and I'm looking at the guy like, you could keep walking, dude. Anyway.
I was good times.
All right. No, that was a good episode. Flipping issues. Are you flipping issues on your spouse? And the best way to remedy this is just to own it. Own it. So, guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of Do the Work Podcast. I'm going to remind you to subscribe, rate, and review. And also, there is an event coming on for women. Go to dothework.com. And actually, there's a link there directly. We 3, that's Women of Evolution 3.
Can you put it load in the video?
And I would highly encourage you to check it out. If you're in a place where you're not necessarily where you'd like to be, things are not working out in your marriage, maybe you're gaining weight, and not making more money than what you were before, then it's time to make a change.
Constantly hitting a wall, not understanding why you get to that place.
So again, go to dothework.com, rate, subscribe, review, and we will talk to you
soon. Bye, everyone.